6 orphans made us rich. Chapter 1. Lightning over Beale Street rain hammered the windshield so hard Calvin Brooks thought the glass might crack. His lift app kept barking out pings, but at that point he was more submarine than sedan. A fat bolt of lightning lit up Beale Street for a split second, turning the neon signs electric blue and white. That flash caught something weird in Calvin's headlights. A gaggle of kids, 6 of them, huddled by the curb like a pileup of wet kittens. "Yo, you serious?" he muttered, easing the car over. His wipers screeched a protest as he rolled the window an inch. Wind slapped him in the face with a mouthful of Memphis rain and barbecue smoke drifting from a late-night joint down the block. The oldest girl, maybe 12, stepped forward. Tiny rainbow sneakers, soaked socks, big hazel eyes trembling like they'd seen ghosts. "Sir, please," she yelled over the thunder, voice cracking. "They gon' split us up." Calvin's foot was still on the brake, but his heart stomped the gas. He knew that look, same one his baby sister wore right before Child Protective Services snatched her back when they were kids. He killed the engine, popped open the door, and splashed into a puddle the size of Arkansas. "Hold up, what you mean split y'all up?" he asked, shrugging his jacket over the smallest girl, a shrimp of maybe 4 who couldn't stop shivering. "The foster lady said tomorrow morning we gotta go to 6 different houses," the oldest said. "We ain't got nobody left." Lightning fired again, rattling the storefront windows of B.B. King's Blues Club behind them. Calvin's lift app dinged for the 5th time, another drunk tourist wanting a ride to Graceland. He slammed his thumb on offline and pocketed the phone like it owed him money. "I'm Calvin," he said. "What's your name, champ?" "Naomi," the girl answered, chin up but voice small. "Okay, Naomi, where's the social worker?" "Inside St. Jude's, arguing on the phone." Calvin chewed his bottom lip. Bills back home already stacked higher than the Peabody Hotel. His wife, Tasha, would straight up body slam him if he showed up with 6 kids. Heck, she still gave him side-eye for adopting a stray cat last year. But those rainbow sneakers anchored him to the sidewalk. Behind Naomi, the second oldest girl clutched a plastic bag holding exactly 3 things: a busted teddy bear, a crumpled photo of their parents, and a Bible the size of a sandwich. Calvin felt his guts twist. He cleared his throat. "Look, y'all hungry?" All 6 heads nodded like dashboard bobbleheads. "All right then. BBQ nachos, okay?" One of the quadruplets, he could tell by matching pigtails, piped up. "Do they got extra cheese?" Calvin laughed so hard he startled himself. "Girl, we in Memphis, they only got cheese." He herded them into Gus's fried chicken across the street. The manager shot Calvin a look that said, "Dude, really?" Calvin slapped his last $50 bill on the counter. "Bucket of chicken, 2 pounds of fries, and keep the Cokes coming." While the kids devoured drumsticks like piranhas, Calvin ducked into the bathroom to call Tasha. She answered on the second ring, voice groggy. "Cal, if you out driving in this storm—" "Baby, hear me out," he whispered. "I found 6 sisters. Parents died. They about to get split up tomorrow." Silence. Then, "How old they?" 4 to 12. "Calvin Jerome Brooks, have you lost your mind?" "Little bit," he admitted. "But these girls, babe, they got nobody." He waited for the boom. Instead, Tasha sighed so long it sounded like static. "Bring them home. We'll figure the rest out before sunrise." Calvin almost dropped the phone in the sink. "For real. For real. But you better pick up diapers, toothbrushes, and Lord help us, a whole lot of patience." He came back out, heart thumping louder than the jukebox, and found Naomi patting the smallest girl's head. Kid was already snoring, face smeared in barbecue sauce, clutching the teddy bear like it was life itself. Calvin cleared his throat. "All right, squad, finish up. We got a long ride." Naomi looked up. "Where we going, Mr. Calvin?" "Home," he said, surprised how right that single word felt. Outside, the rain eased into a soft patter. Neon lights blinked off puddles like promises scribbled in water. Calvin loaded the girls into his battered minivan, old suspension groaning under dreams it was never built to carry, and slid behind the wheel. He caught Naomi's reflection in the rearview mirror. Tired, hopeful, scared, determined. Knew that combo all too well. As he pulled onto Beale, thunder grumbled one last warning across the Delta sky. Calvin just grinned, tapped the steering wheel, and said, "Ladies, buckle up. Life just took a left turn." Chapter 2. 6 Promises, 1 Wallet. Calvin's dented minivan wheezed up Poplar Avenue like it needed prayer and premium gas at the same time. Dawn painted Memphis pink, but his stomach churned a storm gray. Tasha waited on the porch in a robe, arms folded, face unreadable. The sisters, sleep-crusted eyes and mismatched pajamas, peeked from the back seat like baby birds unsure the nest was safe. Calvin killed the engine, inhaled courage, and slid out. "Morning, Queen," he said, half grin, half apology. Tasha cut him a look colder than grocery store ice cream. "We really doing this, Cal?" Her voice trembled between fear and something braver. Naomi climbed out first, straightened her borrowed jacket, and stepped forward. "Ma'am, I'm Naomi. These are my sisters. We don't eat much, and we can help with chores." She pointed at Keisha. "She folds laundry like magic." Keisha waved shyly, still clutching the battered teddy bear. Tasha's hard stare softened one shade. She crouched, eye level with the smallest quadruplet. "What's your name, sugar?" "Dream," the girl whispered. "Are you really going to be our new mama?" Tasha's throat bobbed. Her answer came out like a promise sealed in gold. "I'm gonna try." The porch light clicked off. The sun had taken over. Later that morning, they rolled into Sunrise Haven Orphanage, a red brick fortress that smelled of pine sol and yesterday's macaroni. Sister Patrice, a petite director with Sunday school eyes and a whistle on a lanyard, met them at the door. "Mr. and Mrs. Brooks, paperwork's ready if your hearts are." Her accent carried a hint of Louisiana porch swing. Calvin handed over his driver's license, bank statement, and a check that represented their entire emergency fund plus the cash he'd hidden in the freezer behind last year's turkey. Tasha's eyebrows shot up. "Cal, that was for the new transmission." "Kids first," he murmured. "Transmission later." They followed Sister Patrice down a hallway lined with crayon art, dragons, stick families, shaky rainbows. Zora, one of the quads, tugged Calvin's sleeve. "Why the dragon got 3 heads?" "Budget cuts," he joked. Zora giggled, tension popping like a soap bubble. In the office, mountains of forms waited. Tasha scribbled signatures. Calvin initialed so many boxes he lost feeling in his fingers. Naomi watched every pen stroke like a lawyer in training. Halfway through, the printer jammed with a death rattle. Sister Patrice smacked it twice and muttered, "Devil stay busy." When the final page thunked into the tray, Patrice laced her fingers and spoke like a preacher at the benediction. "By the authority of Tennessee Child Services, I declare these 6 girls members of the Brooks family." Applause echoed off linoleum. Dream clapped so hard she dropped the teddy bear, then snatched it with a grin. Kids flooded the hallway like a river of sneakers and squeals. Calvin instinctively scooped up Lyric and sprinted outside. Smoke billowed from a window, more drama than danger, but the panic felt biblical. Outside, rainwater still puddled the playground. A rusty slide gleamed like polished copper in the morning glare. Tasha gathered the other girls, counting heads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where was 6? Naomi realized Joy hadn't come out. Without thinking, she bolted back in. Calvin cursed under his breath and followed. They found Joy in the hallway, frozen by the alarms, hands over her ears. Calvin threw her over his shoulder fireman style while Naomi held open doors. They burst into sunlight as firefighters pulled up, sirens howling harmony with the alarm. Tasha ran to them, tears and laughter tangling on her face. "Girl, you almost aged me 10 years. Joy wrapped her arms around Tasha's waist. "Sorry, Mama." The word Mama stuck like Velcro. Nobody wanted to peel it off. With the building cleared and chaos settling, Sister Patrice handed Calvin a small envelope. "Travel stipend," she said. "It's only $200, but it might buy y'all a decent lunch." Calvin tried to refuse, pride prickling, but Patrice squeezed his hand. "Take it. Even heroes need gas money." Back in the van, Tasha buckled Dream beside Keisha and exhaled. "All right, squad, ground rules, we share, we pray, and whoever eats the last Pop-Tart better hide the evidence." The girls laughed, voices weaving into one bright chord. Calvin started the engine. Dashboard lights flickered like Christmas, warning of everything from low oil to existential dread. He muttered, "Lord, hold this bucket together." As they pulled onto Elvis Presley Boulevard, Naomi asked, "Mr. Calvin, why'd you stop for us last night?" He thought about it, then shrugged. "Sometimes the sky cracks open just enough for you to see what matters. Couldn't drive past that." "Yo, heard you went full Brady Bunch, you trippin'." Calvin grinned, typed back, "Only thing I'm trippin' on is blessings, bro. Talk later." Tasha caught the exchange, smirked. "Ray on his foolishness again?" "When ain't he?" Calvin replied. They shared a laugh that felt like the first brick in a brand new house. The van rolled south, carrying 6 sisters, 2 terrified parents, and a future nobody could predict. Overhead, the clouds parted and sunlight painted the highway gold as if heaven itself signed off on the journey. In the rearview mirror, Calvin saw Naomi resting her head against the glass, eyes finally peaceful. His heartbeat slowed, matching the rhythm of the road. And way down at the end of Beale Street, a whisper of barbecue smoke rode the breeze, reminding him that good things often start with a single stubborn yes. Chapter 3. When Faith Gets Loud. Calvin woke up to the slap-slap of the kitchen faucet coughing its last. The landlord's sticky note on the fridge read, "Rent by Friday or I'm changing locks." It was Wednesday. In place of panic, Calvin brewed cheap coffee strong enough to walk itself to work and whispered, "Lord, we gonna need overtime and a miracle in that order." Down the hall, Dream screeched like a smoke alarm. Keisha had accidentally braided the battered teddy bear into her sister's hair while half asleep. The sight yanked a laugh out of Calvin's chest before the day even started. Tasha peeked from the bedroom, scarf still on, and shook her head. "This house turned circus quick, huh?" He grinned. "Ringmaster's running on fumes, but the show goes on." By 8 a.m., the Brooks driveway looked like rush hour. Naomi and Joy hustled the younger girls into a rickety yellow bus, shouting reminders, lunchboxes, shoelaces, manners. Calvin hopped into the minivan, a rolling confession of every dent Memphis potholes could dish out, and logged into the Lyft app. His first ride took him past the billboard he once dreamed of advertising his non-existent detailing business on. Now the sign pushed payday loans at 29% interest, and Calvin muttered, "Devil stays busy." Back home, Tasha set up a folding table on Union Avenue under a splash of crepe myrtle shade. She balanced a tray of peach hand pies and a tip jar that read "College Dreams Fuel." First customer rolled up in a candy-red Charger, tinted windows down. The guy bought 3 pies, tasted one, and hollered to his friends, "Yo, these pies slap harder than my grandma's." Word traveled quicker than summer gnats. By noon, Tasha was sold out. Ray, Calvin's oldest friend turned professional skeptic, drifted by in a tow truck that wheezed worse than the minivan. He leaned out the window, gold tooth blinking in the sun. "Tasha, girl, you and Cal really trying to feed half of Memphis on lift tips and sugar?" She blew steam off a fresh pie slice. "Better than sitting on a corner complaining, Ray." He smirked. "Ain't my circus, sis. Just don't come asking me for peanuts when the lions get hungry." He rumbled off, cue double bird from Joy, who watched through the screen door. At 3 p.m., school let out like a busted fire hydrant. The girls barreled in with homework sheets flapping. Lyric announced she needed poster board markers and a cardboard model of the solar system by morning. Calvin rubbed temples. "Baby girl, NASA took years to build that thing." She blinked. "So we better start now, right?" He couldn't argue with that logic. A neighbor donated an Amazon box. Tasha donated the last pack of gumdrops for planet cores, and Keisha painted Saturn's rings with nail polish that smelled like strawberry sorrow. As dusk settled, fireflies flickered over the tiny backyard. Naomi and Joy dragged 2 broken dining chairs outside, propped them like studio lights, and shot a shaky video on Calvin's phone. "Hi, y'all. We're the Brooks sisters, funding our future 1 pie and 1 late-night ride at a time." They posted it on TikTok, #Succeeds. None of them expected anything, but in Memphis, hope tended to sprout in sidewalk cracks. At 10:30, Calvin's Lyft pinged, surge pricing in Midtown, money he couldn't pass up. He kissed Tasha, promised to be quick, and rolled out. 20 minutes later, a drunk tourist tried paying him with Beale Street souvenir guitar picks. Calvin refused, but the guy yanked a handful of 20s from his pocket and stuffed them in Calvin's cup holder. "For the kids, man. I heard your story online." Calvin blinked. "Story? What story?" The tourist hiccup saluted him and stumbled into the night. Calvin pulled to the curb, opened TikTok, and nearly dropped the phone. The girl's video had 30,000 views and counting. Comments piled in. "Where can we send pizza? Y'all need school supplies? Someone cash app me their mama." Calvin started laughing so hard he scared himself. A midnight drizzle pattered the windshield like a drum roll. Back home, Tasha waited on the porch wrapped in a blanket featuring the Grizzlies logo. Calvin waved a fistful of random cash. "Internet done lost its mind." They coughed out giggles until Naomi poked her head out, whisper shouting, "Mama Cal, you're blowing up. Some lady from Chicago just bought 100 pies in advance." Tasha's jaw hit deck. "Girl, where we gonna find that many peaches?" Joy popped behind her. "Walmart's open 24 hours. Naomi added, "And a church down the road says we can use their kitchen on Saturdays if we teach youth group how to bake." Calvin looked up at the bruised purple sky, let the rain chill his face, and said, Lord, your timing is funky but always on beat. Inside, the living room turned production studio. Pans clanged, flour floated like indoor snowfall, and dreams sang off-key about gumdrop Saturn. In that messy symphony of sugar and laughter, bills and worry faded to background buzz. Somewhere near dawn, Calvin finally collapsed into bed, muscles howling. Tasha nestled against him, voice a sleepy mumble. "Think we're crazy?" He kissed her forehead. "Oh yeah, but faith ain't faith till it sounds louder than fear." Outside their cracked window, the first mockingbird of morning riffed a tune that seemed to say, "Keep going, y'all. The show's just getting good." Chapter 4. Seeds in the Concrete. Joy slapped a "closed" sign on the garage door just as a summer thunderclap rattled South Memphis. 5 hours earlier, that same door had rolled up to reveal bleary-eyed sisters, 2 buckets, and a playlist that bounced from Kirk Franklin to Cardi B without apology. Folks called them crazy for opening a pop-up car wash in a half-abandoned lot, but by noon, cars wrapped the block like a velvet rope at Beale Street Music Fest. Every scrub paid toward Keisha, Lyric, Zora, and Dream's freshman fees at Memphis State. 4 girls, 4 scholarships, but rent and meal plans still howled like hungry hounds. The driver, a young tech exec named Marcus Hale, stepped out wearing sneakers too clean for earth. Naomi froze, sponge in midair. Dude looked like he'd fallen out of a GQ page, all dimples and cologne that whispered, "Yes, sir." Joy elbowed her. "Eyes back on the chrome, sis." Naomi stammered, "Right, chrome," and nearly buffed the windshield with her elbow instead of the towel. Marcus laughed, deep and friendly. "Take it easy. I'm donating double if you don't drown my battery." She managed a smile that felt like stepping on a live wire. He tapped the QR code on their poster and dropped $100, easy. Hook 2. He slipped Naomi a business card. "Your hustle's louder than most folks' resume. Call if you ever need tech help. Or coffee." Joy fanned herself with a microfiber cloth. "Girl, if you don't frame that card." By sunset, the sisters counted $2,000 in damp bills on the living room floor. Calvin limped in from a double lift shift, shoes squishing. He smelled like rain, French fries, and exhaustion, but still broke into a grin big enough to light Graceland. "Y'all look richer than the pastor on Communion Sunday." Lyric waved a stack of 5s. "We levitating, Daddy." Calvin dropped to one knee, back cracking like bubble wrap, and whispered, "Remember, money's a tool, not a crown." Zora saluted, mock serious. "Yes, sir." Tasha shuffled from the kitchen, flour dusting her braids, cheeks glowing. She'd baked 3 dozen pies for tomorrow's farmer's market. Her eyes swept the cash, then landed on Joy and Naomi, both still damp, hands cramping. Pride rolled off her like gospel chords. "Your grandma always said faith ain't faith till sweat shines on it." That night thunder rolled, but no rain followed, like the sky was clearing its throat for something bigger. Naomi lay awake, replaying Marcus's laugh in her head. Across the room, Joy scrolled TikTok comments on the Aldridge 6 seeds. "We need shirts. How can we volunteer? Somebody get these girls a GoFundMe." Joy nudged Naomi. "You see this? Folks out here treating us like celebs." Naomi sighed. "Celebs don't smell like tire soap." They both giggled, soft so the younger girls wouldn't wake. Calvin's back finally gave out while lifting Dream onto the breakfast counter. He hit the linoleum hard. Pain shot through him like a live wire. Tasha knelt, voice shaking. "Baby, ambulance or prayer, pick one." Calvin gritted his teeth. "Prayer rides free, don't it?" She still called 911. At Regional 1, the doc frowned at Calvin's x-ray, all shadows and crooked lines. "No more marathon driving," he warned. "One wrong bump and you'll risk a wheelchair." Calvin stared at the ceiling tiles, heart pounding like church drums. Lift had been the family's life raft. Now it looked like an anchor. Back home, the news hit like a brick. The room hushed. Even Dream's Teddy seemed to hold its breath. Naomi spoke first. "If Dad can't drive, the car wash has to level up fast." Joy nodded. "Bigger lot, real equipment, maybe a mobile unit," Keisha whispered. "But scholarships." Tasha lifted her chin, eyes shimmering. "Dreams don't die, they pivot. We can bake more pies, wash more cars, teach classes, whatever it takes." That evening, Marcus showed up unannounced with smoothies and a blueprint drawn on napkins. "I heard about your dad. Got an idea. Crowdfunding meets subscription car care. Pay monthly, we show up at folks' jobs and detail on site." Naomi blinked. "You just carry business plans in your glove box?" He shrugged. "I like fixing things that matter." Calvin watched from the couch, a heating pad hissing. He saw something in Marcus. No pity, just partnership. He cleared his throat. "Son, you got soap in them fancy hands?" Marcus flashed a grin. "Elbow deep, sir." 3 weeks later, the Six Seeds mobile shine van rolled out. Spray guns, water tanks, and a custom logo lyric designed in art class. Local radio covered the launch. The DJ dubbed it "Grind Elevated to Gospel." Pre-orders blew past 100 within 48 hours. Every honk on the highway felt like an amen, but the concrete still had cracks. Bills from Calvin's scans raided their savings, and the landlord circled like a vulture. One muggy night, he banged on the door, eviction notice in hand. Before Calvin could stand, a convoy of neighbors blocked the porch. Customers, church folks, even Ray's skeptical cousin. They waved contracts, receipt books, and pie boxes, chanting, "We got their rent." The landlord blinked, ripped up the notice, and left without a word. Calvin's eyes flooded. Tasha whispered, "Told you God's math don't need calculators." As cicadas droned and porch lights flickered, the family gathered for late-night cobbler. Calvin raised a chipped mug of sweet tea. "Seeds planted in concrete don't ask if the ground is easy, they just crack it open." The girls clinked plastic cups. Naomi caught Marcus watching her and felt her heart drum its own soundtrack. Half fear, half future. And somewhere beyond the streetlights, the Mississippi rolled steady, carrying stories of folks who dared to sprout where nobody thought life could grow, whispering to the night sky that faith with sweat can split stone. Chapter 5. The Snake in the Backyard. The July heat draped Memphis like a wet blanket when trouble slithered in wearing cologne and a crooked grin. Ray Caldwell, Calvin's childhood homeboy turned professional hater, pulled his tow truck beside the Six Seeds van and pretended he came for a wash. In truth, he came for poison. Calvin greeted him with a cautious fist bump, back still braced in a canvas belt. Ray flashed gold tooth and gossip. "Heard y'all printin' money now. Must be nice." Calvin chuckled. "We makin' rent, not buying islands." Then limped off to fill the water tanks. Ray squinted after him, resentment simmering hotter than the asphalt. Joy's phone lit up while she posted before and after shots of a Cadillac they detailed. Email from HR: due to credible fraud allegations, her internship at Bluff City Bank was terminated effective immediately. 5 minutes later, Keisha, Zora, and Dream got the same digital dagger from their jobs. Panic popped through the living room like fireworks. Tasha read each message twice, knuckles white around her mug. Calvin's jaw clenched so tight his teeth squeaked. "Somebody's playing dirty," he growled, but couldn't name the snake. By morning, the rumor mill turned tornado. Local news ran an anonymous tip claiming the Brooks sisters siphoned client data to pad church coffers. Folks who'd cheered the car wash yesterday now side-eyed the van rolling down Elvis Presley Boulevard. Comment sections spat fire emojis and "lock 'em up." Naomi scrolled, stomach dropping. Marcus called, voice a mix of anger and code. "This feels manufactured. I'll trace whatever IP dropped that garbage." Naomi thanked him, heart beating double time for justice and maybe love. "You want to save your girls? Meet me behind the riverfront warehouse. Come alone." No name, but he recognized Ray's sloppy spelling. Calvin grabbed his cane and keys. Tasha blocked the door. "Your back ain't ready for hero moves." He kissed her forehead. "Heroes ain't ever ready. They just show up." The warehouse squatted by the Mississippi like a dead alligator, windows smashed, graffiti screaming. Ray stepped from the shadows, twirling a flash drive. "One click and every company in town believes your kid stole payroll. Another click clears them. What's that worth to you, Cal?" Calvin's stomach lurched. "Thought you were my brother." Ray spat. "Brother? You got famous, left me stuck under busted cars for peanuts." Calvin barked a laugh that echoed through broken glass. "Famous? Man, I'm one hospital bill away from homelessness." Ray's eyes flicked to Calvin's brace. "Not my problem. Pay up or watch 'em sink." Unbeknownst to Ray, Naomi had tailed her dad, phone recording through a cracked back window. She caught every slimy word. When Ray demanded 10 grand, Calvin whispered a prayer instead of a price. Naomi burst from hiding, camera raised. "World's already watching, Ray. Say cheese." Rage twisted Ray's face. He lunged, but Calvin swung his cane like Moses parting the Red Sea, catching Ray's shin. Ray howled. Naomi bolted with the flash drive while Calvin hobbled after her, adrenaline-numbing pain. Marcus used his cyber skills to blast the warehouse footage and hacked emails onto every social feed that had trashed the sisters. Hashtag Sir Snakes Get Exposed trended inside an hour. Companies that fired the girls scrambled for damage control. HR called Joy first, stuttering apologies and begging her to return Monday with a raise. By sunset, all 4 jobs were reinstated plus back pay. The Six Seeds van received free billboard space downtown. Integrity shines. Book today. Yet victory tasted bittersweet. Calvin lay on the couch, heating pad hissing, pride bruised deeper than flesh. The girls circled him with ice packs and dad jokes. Dream placed the battered teddy on his chest like a medal. "Daddy saved the day," Calvin wheezed a laugh. "Daddy almost broke what's left of his spine." Tasha stroked his hair, eyes shining. "Don't downplay the miracle, love. Snakes showed up, but we had an eagle's view." That night a thunderstorm rolled in, rain drumming the roof like a gospel choir. Naomi stood on the porch with Marcus, city lights glittering off soaked streets. She thanked him for the hack job. He teased that he billed in milkshakes. She promised 2. Lightning flashed, turning their silhouettes silver. Marcus said, "Funny how snakes forget eagles fly higher." Naomi smiled, feeling the storm wash away doubt. Inside, Calvin told his daughters an old Delta proverb. "When the serpent coils in your backyard, don't curse the ground. Stand taller, call the hawk, and let truth drop like stone." He drifted to sleep with rain in his ears and faith in his bones, unaware that bigger storms brewed beyond the river bend, but confident the house they'd built on love could flex without falling. Chapter 6. Dawn Chorus. The Memphis sky still wore midnight when Calvin's phone exploded with an emergency alert. The Six Seeds van was on fire. Flames painted Orange Mound alleyways neon and sent smoke twisting like bad gossip. Hook 1 arrived with sirens. Naomi and Marcus skidded onto the scene in his Tesla, headlights carving through ember snow. Firefighters wrestled the blaze, but the van, their mobile miracle, sagged black and blistered. Calvin's cane slipped from numb fingers. "Lord, we just fixed the transmission," he murmured. A shaken neighbor shoved a phone forward. Security footage showed Ray's tow truck creeping away seconds before the ignition. Calvin's soul chilled, but anger sparked brighter. The snake came back with kerosene. Insurance barely whispered coverage. Replacement cost laughed from a spreadsheet. Joy's voice cracked in the quiet kitchen. "Do we quit?" Tasha's palm hit the table loud as a gavel. Seeds don't quit when the crow circles. They dig deeper. She opened her prayer journal, flipped to a blank page, and wrote, "Rebuild" in thick red ink. Reverend Coleman, pastor of New Hope Baptist, strode up the porch with half the deacons and an envelope fat as a deck of cards. "Sight walking, shoes on, Brother Brooks," the Reverend announced. Congregation took a love offering. Calvin peeled it open, $5,000 in checks and crumpled 20s. Tears blurred the numbers. The Reverend clasped his shoulder. "We saw the smoke. Fire can't roast what God already seasoned." News of the arson galloped across social media. Six Seeds rose again, trended by lunch. A radio host dared listeners to pledge $10 each to plant new wheels for the hardest-working sisters in Tennessee. By dusk, 30,000 had landed in the crowdfunding pot. Even Memphis State pitched in with a scholarship extension for Keisha, Zora, and Dream, freeing car wash income for the rebuild. Yet Hook 3, the darkest, slid through a mailbox slit. Subpoena. Ray accused Calvin of assaulting him with the cane at the warehouse. Court in 2 weeks. Calvin read it twice, spine tightening like wet rope. "He's suing me for limping?" Naomi frowned. "It's revenge. He'll drag your record, ruin donor trust." Marcus leaned over the document. "We fight with truth and receipts." He tapped the courthouse address. "Besides, judges love security footage." Court day cracked open with a thunderstorm, sky rumbling like a baritone choir. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed judgment. Ray limped theatrically to the stand, boot cast rattling. He painted Calvin as a violent grifter using orphans for profit. Gasps rippled. Then Marcus cued the warehouse video. Speakers spilled Ray's extortion demands word for word, grainy but sharp enough to slice lies thin. Ray's gold smile melted. The judge dismissed the suit with stern promises of perjury charges. Outside, reporters swarmed Calvin. He lifted Naomi's phone, replaying the Reverend's words. "Fire can't roast what God already seasoned." A month later, twin rainbow banners unfurled over a renovated service lot. Six Seeds Foundation. We keep families together. Kids from foster homes painted murals of oak trees whose roots entwined in the shape of hearts. The rebuilt van, dubbed Phoenix, gleamed candy apple red, courtesy of Memphis Auto Club. Calvin stood beside it in a back brace he now treated like a medal. Hook 4 bloomed when Naomi grabbed the mic at the ribbon cutting. "We started washing bumpers," she told the crowd. "But God scrubbed doubt off our destiny." Marcus winked from the front row. smoothie in hand. Reverend Coleman called it soap-operated salvation, and the mayor declared May 14th Six Seeds Day. That night, the family gathered on the river bluff, breeze teasing picnic napkins. Fireflies drifted over the water like tiny lanterns. Calvin cleared his throat. Girls, remember that Delta proverb Grandma loved. If the morning bird sings after a storm, don't curse the lightning, thank it for waking the dawn. Dream giggled, hugging the soot-stained teddy they'd framed inside a shadow box. Joy broke out peach pie. Naomi shared the first donation receipt folded into a paper crane, and Keisha strummed an out-of-tune guitar until even the moon seemed to keep tempo. Across the river, downtown lights shimmered, each bulb a promise paid in full. Calvin wrapped an arm around Tasha, whispered, "Think we're finally safe?" She laughed soft. "Safe as a parked car. We drive." Overhead, a freight train horn moaned, thick and hopeful. The family answered with a chorus of whoops that rolled down the Mississippi like a brand-new hymn. Proof that concrete can sprout oaks, snakes can choke on their own poison, and dawn always remembers where the faithful live.